Good morning, traders. I'm Dennis Dick.
And I'm Joel Elcon, and welcome to Monday's edition of Premarket Info.
Got a little bit of a rally back. What a horrible day it was for the market on Friday, but we are bouncing back. Sometimes you do see this happen. Overnight here, we have rallied as much as 10 points. We're up 6 right now here, Joel.
Right, we matched Friday's low in the pre-market at 1626 and a quarter and a half. So for you bulls out there like Dennis looking for 1680, that's your level on the upside. Coming on the 1638.50 has been your pre-market high. I say until we sneak into the 1640 handle, I'm looking good on that case of bear when we hit 1600.
I'll tell you, I'm hedging my bets here, though, Joel, with you. I wanted to get out of the bet there last week because, we got up to the 1671, 1672, and I was kind of rubbing it in your face. And I am nervous on this market. It's almost back to where we were putting on the bet. I offered it to you, you wouldn't let me out of it, so I actually had to hedge myself and actually short some stocks. So, so I don't know. I'm not in love with this rally here. I think, yes, on Friday's action. It was obviously there was some other things going on. We do have the Russell rebalance, which is coming up at the end of June. And just so you traders know, the May 31st pricing is what actually that's the pricing that they look at for which stocks actually go in and which stocks start coming out of the Russell 2000. So you did have some movement probably from people who were trying to push the stocks maybe into the index or push certain stocks out of the index. And it was a crazy Friday. Like I know, Jake, were you there? Because you had
Yeah,
traders
for sure.
like asking about the action too on Friday. Did you not?
Yeah, I had quite a few asking me what the projected rebalances were, and I know that we had to get them some reports from around the street to see what some of the big guys out there were thinking. What the rebalancing would look like. So definitely a lot of confusion on Friday afternoon of whether it be an S&P 500 rebalance, whether it was a Russell rebalance, and I know we had to clear a lot of that up.
Yeah, and it gets confusing, but basically on May 31st, that pricing is what will indicate the yearly. So every year, the Russell reconstitution happens, where they re-rank all the stocks Russell 2000 by market capitalization. The ones that have the higher market cap go in, ones lower market cap come out. So basically, it's that May 31st pricing that dictates what is going to go in and out, and that's why you see these a pretty good movement there on Friday in individual stocks. Because if you really want your stock pushed into the index, you could actually try to be buying it and pressing it higher into the Friday close. So a lot of times, what you see is some of these moves do retrace themselves on some individual issues a little bit on the May 31st. That
Well,
being
there's
said,
people that are watching this since January or February,
yes,
right? This is not,
yes,
yeah. And what they're doing is they're trying to pinpoint what stocks are going to be not only added but stocks are going to be taken out.
yes,
And since this is the Russell 1000 and 2000, these are not your big boys. These stocks can be easily pushed
yes.
around with large buy and sell orders, and that's what you saw coming to fruition on Friday.
Yeah, you did, as they're jockeying for which stocks they really want to press in and which stocks they want to press out. So then the actual, I believe it comes in a week or two where Russell will say which stocks are going in, which stocks are going out. But there's already projections being made. There was projections being made by your big brokerage houses months ago, projecting this to go in, projecting this to go out. They give these reports to their clients, try to give them a leg up, because basically, if it's going into the Russell, that will push the stock higher. If it's coming out of the Russell, that will push the stocks lower. And like you said, Joel, these are thinner issues that can get pushed around. And sometimes you'll see stocks move 30, 40, 50% just because they're going in, or fall 30, 40, 50% just because they're coming out going into that date. Typically, if we go back years ago, there was huge moves on the actual day of the reconstitution in the direction of if he was going in, that stock would be higher. If it was coming out, that stock would be lower. But this is so projected now. Sometimes you see these moves happen way in advance. And actually, I've seen it reverse on the actual day of the reconstitution, where sometimes you'll see a stock up 40 or 50% because it's going in, and all of a sudden it falls 20% on that day, catches all the arbs by surprise. So funny things happen with this reconstitution, and obviously you got high frequency trading involved in this too, so that pushes all the stocks around too. So
Yeah,
lots happening there.
just a final note on this: if you had a stock that you were own or were long and it just got pummeled on Friday, I think Friday's parameters, the low and the close, will really be excellent levels to keep an eye on. On the other hand, if you had a stock that had a big run, made the high or closed on the high, not many stocks did on Friday, but I think those levels from Friday, I'd keep an eye on the close, and and see if that level either holds up as support or as resistance.
But there was a lot of stocks that closed very weak. So overall, not blaming anything on this May 31st, pricing for the Russell rebalance, but overall, everything was just weak on Friday. And that's what's got me scared technically here. We had some technical breakdowns in a lot of issues. Interesting enough, you just brought up the gold chart because I was saying Friday, gold and silver were both down on Friday. So everybody flees to this for defense. Market goes down, 200 Dow points, and gold still falls on the day. Obviously not good for the gold bulls.
Yeah, we were looking at the 1420 level. That held up on Friday as well. Just hovering above there. 1380 has been kind of the bottom of this 4-day range, and 1420 the high. So just keep an eye on those parameters. It looks like it's trying to put in a little bit of a bottom here, but how many times could you have said that over the last couple of weeks in gold?
Let's go to some of the individual issues that were being moved around on Friday. Obviously, most of them were quite lower here. But if you do start with Apple, Apple actually held up quite well. And it's funny how defensive Apple has traded lately. Despite the market being down over the 200 points, Apple actually, for the most part of the day, was higher. I don't think it ended up closing higher. I think it ended up closing on the lows. But it was trading green for a lot of the day on Friday. But did close weak and is trading up $1.50 here this morning.
Yeah, kind of like a stair-step rally here, and one thing that I keep in my mind when I'm thinking about stock is this stock is just the amount of stock this company is buying back here, and don't tell anybody here, but I think they're targeting the even levels here. Here you spike down on just under 420, make a 420 low, you rally, you come back down to the 430 level, it holds. And then at the end of early in last week, it hold the 440
So they
level.
get above the level, and then they're buying and they're holding those
Yep,
new
and then they're
hold
holding
numbers.
it. Yep, and lo and behold, we're trading above 450 again here in the pre-market. Did close weak, right on the low, but here's another example. If this thing, can hold up for a couple days over 450 here, I'll be all over those 465 and 470 calls. And I don't like to buy calls. Another thing about this stock too is it's just gotten whooped so bad that even this is a stock I don't mind being long, even if the market's getting killed because of what you said. It's just being in defensive in nature.
Yeah,
But
it seems like the market keeps cycling and rotating, and it goes into the financials and cyclicals, and then it'll come out of a stock like Apple. And then all of a sudden, there's weakness in all these other sectors, and Apple actually, because there is some value there is dividend there, holds up quite well. So it's interesting that it can trade defensively like that. Google Friday here had a little bit of a weak day, but again, some of the techs were holding up okay on Friday. I don't know if you call it Google a tech stock, but I guess I don't know what else you call it. Stock trading up $6 here this morning.
Yeah, I was looking at the charts over the weekend, and I was thinking, man, if this thing could dip under, 870 again, you had three lows between 864 and 867.50. So just call that whole 8 area 65. It'd be something where you could, if you can get it under 870, which doesn't look like it's going to happen as of right now, at least you have a stop out point at that 864 area. But kind of rare for Google to make three lows right in the same area. Looking at the pre-market here, we have traded up to 878 even, and that coincides with Friday's high. So keep an eye, tight range for Google yesterday, even though the SPOOs had a huge range.
Let's move on to the oil stocks because Exxon and Chevron had terrible Fridays. So while Apple and Google held up okay, ExxonMobil did not hold up okay. Ended up closing pretty much at the low of the day, I believe. 90.46 was the low, closed at 90.47, so a penny off the low. But it gave back basically $1.50 on Friday. That's the biggest down move that ExxonMobil has had in basically a month and a half.
Right, trading up about 72 cents here in the pre-market. Let's keep an eye on what the pre-market high has been here. It has been over spotty trades here, but looks like it's finding some resistance at the 91.20 level. No major resistance points until you start to sneak up to 92, but after the stock trading down under 91, you got to imagine some of those big offers are going to come off that 92 number, perhaps down to 91.5.
I think you get in the high 91s. I think you're going to find nervous longs all over the place saying, thank you for getting me out here, because, and that's what you're seeing here even this morning. We rallied up over almost $10 here at one point in time. We're up only 4.5 now here, Joel.
So why are you spooking the market?
The market, I know, I'm telling you, man, like I'm scared. scared now on this market. I want out of my bet. I'm scared I might pay that case of beer at 1600. So it's got me nervous. Like I said, I have actually started some short positions here just to hedge against you there, Joel.
Okay, just Chevron Corporation, that's closed right on its low, too. If it gets through there, I mean, we're trading up 81 cents in the pre-market here. Just keep an eye on the pre-market high here, which has been 123.56. Really, I mean, these things, I mean, considering the volume that these stocks went down on Friday, I mean, this is just fluff. I mean, this is
Yeah,
just people
it's
trying to
too
lift
light
offers
yet.
here so they can get out of the stocks that they, the designated market makers or the OTC market makers got stuck with stock on the close. They're just trying to bid this stuff up a little bit so they can get out.
You make a great point there, and that's what does happen in the pre-market sometimes, and that's why we always look at volume. And if volume's only a few hundred shares on something, sometimes it's hard to put any weight on those trades whatsoever, because if you were long a whole pile of Chevron at the close and you wanted that stock to go higher, why not buy it up on 100 shares, up 80 or 90 cents, because you're getting those prints on the board, and it makes people start thinking, oh, this stock's going to open 80, 90 cents higher here, maybe I should be buying too. So you're just, there is manipulation that tries to happen like that. So, but when you have stocks trading hundreds of thousands of shares, then obviously, it's very hard to manipulate those stocks. But something like, Chevron in the morning, if you were, and I'm not saying this is happening, but it does happen, basically, if you're long a lot of stocks, paint the tape a little bit in the pre-market, and sometimes it can cause the stock to open higher, and maybe you can slip out of some of your shares.
And I haven't seen any, specific news, on these stocks to make them, rebounding besides the activity in the S&P 500.
Yeah, and if the futures are up 5, there usually is trading a little bit higher, but just keep that in mind. Volume is what you want to look at in the pre-market. If there's no volume on the things, it's really hard to say, oh, well, because it's traded 123.56 for 100 shares, it's going to open up there. I'd imagine, it'll open more where fair value is. If the market's up 0.3%, Chevron usually tends to open up similarly. Do have some, do you want to keep going? We'll go through a couple other stocks. Procter & Gamble, very weak on Friday.
Oh,
I can't believe how bad this has been for Procter & Gamble for four basically last week. That's got to be its worst week in a long time, Joel. It started the week up in the 82 handle and closed in the 76 handle, and that is a huge move for Procter & Gamble.
that's one problem with you when you play the weekly 8250s on the Friday of the preceding week there. You look at expectations here. This thing just got pummeled. Who cares about a new CEO in there? This just got shellacked, along with a lot of other stocks in the sector. I'm keeping an eye on 76.35. That was low on April 25th, right after earnings. 26 up 26 cents in the pre-market. 77 probably is going to attract a few sellers here. But just, going with the theme, I mean, did you see Pfizer? I mean,
Yeah.
how often does Pfizer move like this?
Yeah, Pfizer just an absolute bloodbath for the stock on Friday. Opened at 28.27, closed at 27.23 on the low. Pfizer lost $1 on no news. So this is just all technical breakdowns here. It basically, like we've been saying, they've been selling stuff that is more defensive, like, and has a higher stock yield, because they're worried about interest rates possibly going up. So anything that's got 3, 4, 5% dividends, especially the REITs and stuff, like we were talking about those last week, those things were getting pummeled. But you get the stocks in with the higher dividends, because if interest rates started to climb, and they're just saying, not saying that's going to happen, but if there's worries about that happening out there, obviously these securities are less attractive if you can get, if those rates are higher overall.
This is just a weekly here on the J&J, and I mean, this thing has had 2 down weeks after just an incredible run of, I can't even
Wow.
count how, yeah, really basically the whole year went up every week, and then now you're coming into a couple weekly lows right around the $84 level. Trading up in the pre-market here, but I tell you, below 84 in this thing, and Johnson & Johnson could be easily back at the $80 level.
Yeah, it's scary right now. Some of these stocks are sitting on a cliff, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Let's go to the upgrades and downgrades here. A couple interesting ones. Intel actually getting upgraded, FBR Capital. Stock has held up very well. Here's, again, this whole scenario where last year's dogs seemed like this year's leaders. Again, happening in Intel, 24.75 is where it's trading at in the pre-market, which actually pushes it up over a 52-week high. I don't know if it's going to open over that or not. 24.71 is the 52-week high, which, interesting enough, we made on Friday, I believe. Was it Friday? Yeah, I believe it was Friday. So basically, the stock's
20,
trying to press to a new 52-week high this morning as well.
Yeah, I'd be a little leery of this upgrade here. We did press over the 24.71 Friday's high to 24.83. Plus, you're coming to a nice round number like 25. Just for traders that have been in this stock long time, you did have just 4 sessions between 24 and 25 here, so that 24 is going to be major support. But if this thing didn't bust above the 25 level today and make a close above there, it'd be interesting to see, what the stock does over the rest of the week if we can't get a close over 25.
F5 Systems, which is FFIV, getting downgraded at Morgan Stanley here this morning. It is trading down $2 on that downgrade, trading at 81.32 after closing at 83.21. What do you think of this chart?
81, we just hit that just a few minutes ago as we began the broadcast. This stock on the daily, what a weird looking chart there.
Yeah, it's all chopped up.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it looks like someone's been targeting the $84 level. You had 3 highs over there over the last 2 weeks. So on a downgrade, it's obviously not going to go up. I'd be focusing on 80.
$80 huge.
Yep, 80 bucks. It's kind of interesting about this stock. You had 2 lows around the $83 level. That's by the wayside now. So I think that's going to be major resistance. And then the next double bottom here at the 8. Now, actually, a little bit of support at 82.40. But I'm looking for 80 on this.
I think so too. I think that's where they're going to try to press the stock to, possibly as early as today. Met, M-E-T, getting upgraded at Deutsche Bank. And Met made a new 52-week high briefly on Friday as well before closing very weak. Everything closed weak. But it's kissing back up there, trading at $45 right now. So then 52-week high being 45.26, which was set on Friday.
Wow, you're right. 45.26. Looking at the pre-market here, we did just ticking above 45 here. This Stagio stock up 79 cents here. I'd keep an eye on that $45 level up to 45.26. But if it doesn't hold 45, I think you're going to slice right back down to test the excellent support you have at 43.79, 43.85.
Yeah, you got to be careful on some of these financial slash insurance companies here. These usually move around with the market, so you're getting an upgrade that's going probably against what the overall trend is in some of these stocks. So a little bit skeptical on that upgrade, and I definitely use that 45.26 as resistance. Merck is in the news here this morning. Reuters actually reporting over the weekend that their melanoma drug shrunk tumors in 38% of patients. So this is actually pushing Merck up close to a 52-week high again. It's had huge resistance up here in this 48.60 area, and it's actually finding some resistance again in the pre-market. Same area that's topped out 3 or 4 times in the last couple of months.
48.75 been the high in the pre-market here. Looking at the actual high of the move, it's 48.79. Major. When's the last time you seen Merck up $2 in the pre-market and it end up
This
3?
looks like a gift to me.
Yeah, this is just a huge move. You do have a little bit of volume with it, but and also, it's good. It shrinks tumors and stuff, but is it going to come to market? When's it going to come to market? Are there could be any competitors before that? It's fundamental news, and that's what moves drug stocks, but holy smokes, man. Big move for Merck.
Yeah, I'm not a huge... and it's hard for me because actually I love the stock. I love Merck. This is one of the biggest holdings in my individual portfolio as an investment. As a trade here, there has been huge resistance up here. It was 48.5, 48.70 area for quite some time. And we'll have to see if it can get through there. Maybe you could get interested. But opening up, into $1.80 right into resistance like this makes me a little bit scared to be long. And full disclosure, I do have a trading position on in Merck. So I have a trading position, I have an investment in it. It's funny how these things work out. So I'll say no more.
Just on a looking at the stock, and if you're trading it as an investor and it's up $2 or something like this, it might not be an opportunity to look at it to exit. As far as shorting it, I mean, you do have, the risk is going up and busting out over the new high.
Yep.
But
That's always
yeah,
a risk. So, and
yep.
if it started taking off through new highs, new 52-week highs, I never like to be short stocks that are going through new 52-week highs. So, 48.79 is a pretty big bogey, and I think traders are going to target that area. If they lose it, then, it could end up going higher, but I think that they might be able to defend that
Recent low
level.
at 48.40 here in the pre-market, so I'd actually use a parameter if I was going long off the open here under 48.40, and I'd be hitting the panic button.
Okay, overall market thoughts here as this rally continues to fade. We started the show, we were up about 6.5. We're only up 4 here now. Where are we going? You think this is a gift rally here? Well, it's not even much of a gift anymore, only being up 4 points. When I saw it up 8, I was kind of licking my chops. When it's only up 4, I'm like, What do you think?
Still like to see it get up to that, test that 1638.50. Don't have a huge number there. You did have a couple lows. Remember the lows were holding up in the 1640
Yep.
area, and when I
Yep.
set out the notice for the meeting, that's what that's what it broke through. That's going to be major resistance today. Looking at the downside, the thing goes into reverse. Potential double bottom for Friday and Monday at 1626.50. But you got to figure the Bears at least want to push it down to 1620 here. You had 3 lows after we had the good jobs numbers back on May 9th through May 13th. So that's the area I'm looking through after they take out this 1626 and a quarter level.
Yeah, with the weakness we had on Friday, I'd be very surprised if we didn't see a little bit of nervous longs here come in early off the bat to try to basically sell this rally. So, and I think your Bears, I think they're still not in hibernation here, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some weakness here today as well. That's our show for today, guys. Have a great trading day, and we will be back with you tomorrow.